Un, dos, tres.
Next up we have Soraya Sobradad.
Hey, it's the queen of healthy Latin cooking, Holas. My name is Soraya Sobradad. Welcome to my kitchen, welcome to my show. Today's segment is not about cooking, but maybe it is about cooking. It's about raising the heat. Raising the heat as a transgender woman. And what do I mean by that? I mean raising the heat and going into the direction of facial feminization. I wanted to talk about the two major surgeries that were specific to facial feminization, and the first one being with Facial Team back in 2018. The second facial feminization surgery that took place in 2021 with Dr. James Bradley here in New York. Maybe draw some comparisons, maybe speak really freely and clearly and honestly about both procedures and discuss many aspects of both procedures and discuss those processes as a woman of color. Okay? I'm a Puerto Rican woman. I'm 62 years of age. This year I'll be 63 in March. Had done a lot of research about facial feminization, and I chose Facial Team because at the time they were really the gold standard, and then also there was something that I read about Facial Team sharing a lot of their information about their surgery procedures with other surgeons. They were really giving of their knowledge to the trans community and the medical community. They had an open system of sharing. They didn't keep their skills to themselves. They were sharing it openly. That's the way I saw it. Secondly, I thought that it would be a good idea to choose surgeons who were Spanish, and I didn't realize it till later that just surgeon being in Spain and being Spanish doesn't really mean that they know how to handle a Puerto Rican woman of African descent, face and features. Alright? You know, I had my money. I wanted to get the best surgeon possible, and I thought it would be nice to get the surgery done in Spain, and I felt that Facial Team's reputation was really stellar and they were really experts in their field, and I chose them. So I chose them. So I'm going to talk about when I got to Spain. The arrangements that Facial Team had made to have a car and someone there to pick me up. So I want to say that the gentleman who picked me up wasn't very nice. He didn't want to take a picture with the name Soraya Montalvo on it, and he didn't seem happy to be servicing me. I forget the name of the woman who was taking care of my procedure. She was great. It was time for me to have surgery that morning, and they were marking me for the hair transplant. I had asked for a widow's peak, and the way they told me no was really stern and no. It didn't seem kind there either. I was already in Spain, what could I say? But I didn't like that. Even before the surgery, one of the doctor for the nose had said in Spanish that my nose was like a potato. So, and I understand Spanish. So those little things, I kept quiet too, because I was already there. I'd already paid for it. What was I going to say? No? I don't like that comment. But, yeah. And then when I had surgery and the room that they put me into recovering, they were doing a lot of construction at Facial Team at the time, and it was a loud, drilling sound in the room that they set me up in. And I complained to get into another room, and it was just horrible, the sound quality. The room in the hospital was like a hotel. It was very clean. The food was good once, I came to and I could eat. I'm going to say that it wasn't the best experience I had. No, it wasn't. As far as the total overall surgery, they did a great job with my jawline. I didn't like the way they handled my nose. And they did contour my forehead nicely, but I had secondary forehead reduction, and I feel this time around it's a lot more feminine. And I feel my nose this time around is a lot more feminine too. I'm making some comparisons here as far as customer service, as far as treatment, as far as how I'm spoken to as a woman. The surgery that I had from facial team didn't totally feminize my face. I did not come away from that surgery with the face I have now. And I knew that that was totally cranial, that facial team was adjusting, and that in addition to that, that I also would need soft tissue. So I still needed to face tape in order to get the face like I have right now. Which this is a Soraya face. It was a preliminary. It taught me a lot. I didn't like how my nose came out. I asked for a revision, but I'm gonna have the same surgeon touch my nose again who didn't get it right the first time. So why go back again and pay $2,000 plus the trip to go? So they did ask me to record a testimonial for them. In reflection, I should have not had done that video. I can't even watch that video because I know I was running on fumes from the travel, from the process itself, and it was just such an intense surgery. So I hope I said good things about them. I probably did because I'm a people pleaser. Very much so was a people pleaser back then. Not one today, not as much. So that was facial team. And I'm glad that I had the opportunity to go to Spain and pick the surgeon I wanted, which was them, facial team. Fast forward, in 2020, I was given the opportunity to have secondary facial feminization if I wanted it, and then chose to do it. I chose to have facial feminization again. I really went to this doctor, Dr. James Bradley, for secondary rhinoplasty and for a mid to lower facelift, neck lift. I wanted my rhinoplasty and my lip lift redone because I felt like my lip lift didn't heal as well as I liked it to have had healed. And when I went to see Dr. James Bradley, he's like, well, what about your forehead? And I thought I had like a stellar forehead, you know? He's like, you know, you can do some work there too. He proposed was doing the forehead again, which I knew that was going to be really intense, and then doing fat grafting and secondary rhinoplasty, which I wanted, secondary lip lift, which I wanted, and definitely wanted mid to lower facelift, neck lift. So he gave me all of that. He was able to do cranial and he was able to do soft tissue. Now I have bangs, but my forehead is not as smooth as it was the first time around with facial team. It's bumpy. It's bumpy. But my forehead and my nose, if you look at my profile, much more femme. My forehead reduction is certainly has been reduced, like it's back further. Bumpy, yeah, but bangs covers that up. Dr. James Bradley also lowered my hairline, which with the hair transplant that I did at facial team, it was just a rounding of the hairline, not so much lowering the hairline, which could have happened. They could have attempted to lower with the transplant. I didn't ask. I asked for the widow's peak and they said no. Dr. Bradley's like, these are a lot of little things we can do, but it can make a big difference. And he was absolutely right. It has made a huge difference as I look at the camera to my appearance as a woman, as a transgender woman. What can I say that was negative about Bradley? Well, the bumps on my forehead. I'm not happy that it's not a smooth forehead. Bradley thought he could do more and he did, and I'm satisfied with that. The jaw wasn't touched the second time, thank goodness. That's very intense. They did a great job on the jaw. So, what am I going to conclude with? That for those of you who have asked, like, why did you have secondary facial feminization, Soraya? Now you know the reasons why. And also I want transgender women to know that sometimes you do need to go through it a second time. And I want transgender women to know that sometimes the doctor who did the rhinoplasty may not be the doctor you want to have do a secondary rhinoplasty with. Because it's just maybe best you try a different doctor. A different doctor worked for me. At this point of my life as a transgender woman, I do feel that I still want to have some more work done. And I feel like Dr. James Bradley will be the one, he did a fat transfer here, like I said, but he did fat transfer here and on my temples. It's going to be 7 months almost since I've had surgery. So probably in a year, I'll need to touch up with the fat transfers. But I know that I still want Dr. Giacono. Again, I had him as my initial surgeon for my facelift to remove the excess skin from weight loss. He was the one. And I really think for my neck and the cords, I'm developing as I'm aging that Jacono will be the one to kind of bring back some youth there. I may want to get a trachea, but I think it's just really not going to make much of a difference because I just think this is just what I have, and this is a lot to reduce. Not so much an Adam's apple, but it's just my larynx. I think it's just whatever. It's just there, and that's just the way it is. So I do feel like down the road I'd like to have Jacono, and I do still think I need a third rhinoplasty, maybe. But the nose I have now is a big improvement to what I had with Facial Team. And with Facial Team, that was an improvement to what I came in with. I came in with a man's nose who is Puerto Rican. I'm no longer a man, I am a woman. This is my experience. This is what I went through with Facial Team. This was my experience with Dr. James Bradley. I'm going to say he was totally a gentleman. Serena was wonderful. He was really, really good. Very, very busy. He got me confused with some other patients with procedures. Overall, maybe because I'm here in New York and he's here in New York, that we were able to develop a closer relationship. Facial Team, I went there and left them because I'm going to see Dr. Bradley in a couple of months, and then towards the end of the year, when July comes, will be my anniversary. I'll see him again then. So I will say that maybe there's a big benefit to having a surgeon who's local. If you're going abroad for surgery, you're really doing it at your own risk, really, because keep in mind, and I did have a problem when I got back to California, that the endotins one of them started getting really sore from Facial Team's surgery. And, I had to go to the emergency room. And so, which, Facial Team was addressing and said, listen, just give it time, it'll heal. And it did. But having this major surgery and having it done abroad and then coming back to wherever you live and not having that surgeon have accessibility to you is something to consider. Bradley was doing a lot of women of color. A lot of women of color. Like I went into his office, and all the girls that are waiting, some of them were white girls, but a lot of women of color. A lot of women of color. And I'm glad I went to him because he knew what to do. I thought he knew what to do with my face. I thought Spain would know what to do. But he really... Look at my nose. Look at my lip lift with him. It's very girl. It's very girl. Everything is very... I guess it took 2 times. It took 2 chisels away, chiseling at the bone to get it, and to address soft tissue. I'm not calling Facial Team anything. I'm just saying that maybe if you're of color, go to a surgeon, pick a surgeon who addresses trans women of color for facial feminization. That's what I've learned here. And I also learned that because it's a Medicaid doctor or a doctor that's on not to think that they're not giving good quality, because James Bradley has no 5-star reviews. Actually, no reviews really. He's not a superstar doctor. I've said that before on one of my other videos. I think for me, he did a really good job. Okay? That's it. So take what you want and leave the rest of this video. And again, I'm not saying anyone was not qualified to handle people of color faces, but I'm just saying from my experience only that if you are of color, think about who you're going to for your facial feminization, and ensure that they address faces and skin and features like yours, and look at pictures, get some before and after, so you have a really good idea. I'm glad that my surgeries, I ended up being healthy and recuperating and waking up from surgery fine, and that I'm really glad that I didn't have to pay so much. I didn't have to pay for this facial feminization. The therapist told me in the beginning, why are you selling your apartment to be a woman? You don't have to. You don't have to give up everything to do it. But if that's your choice, then you do it. Okay? Alright. It feels like I don't want to stop talking to you. That means I really care about you. And I hope you enjoy what I do here as the Queen of Healthy Latin Cooking, Soraya. Alright. Thank you. Bye.